Hello, in today's video we're going to cover a brief synopsis of how we recommend you get started with your new copy of Receta. In many cases, when you first get into starting to use Receta, you may be overwhelmed by the different options that you have open to you. Which section do you start with? What can you safely ignore? We would recommend that you start by going to your admin section and adding some of the defaults that you think you're going to use. Going to materials, categories, materials, colors, etc. stock locations, etc. Don't be afraid to try and use all these. Don't be afraid to add dummy data, and don't be afraid to mess around. Once you've done that, our next piece of advice will be to add some dummy customers. Have a look around them, look at some of the sections such as the detail pages, how you navigate around, etc. Don't worry too much about everything that you see at this stage. Everything is explained in our other help videos, or of course you can call us or email us for support. Once you've added a few customers, repeat the exercise and add a few suppliers. It's a very similar method for how you add them. After you've added all of them, our recommendation then would be to simply add some materials. We would recommend you add at least 5 materials that we would classify as ingredients, at least 1 bottle, at least 1 inner packing, 1 label, 1 lid, 1 closure, perhaps 1 outer seal if you use them, and 1 capsule shell at least. External FPs, if you buy in any stock from elsewhere which is already ready-made, tablets or capsules, add 1 of those as well. Get used to how the categories, when you select them, change some of these features, change some of these options. Get used to clicking some of the buttons and get used to understanding what Receta is asking you to do. When you've added your materials, then jump in and start adding your first formula. Again, mess about, press some of the buttons, understand how they work, don't be afraid to experiment. At the same time as adding your formula, obviously the corresponding capsule or tablet will be added at the same time. Once you have these, go ahead and start adding a complete product, a final C prod. Mess about with some of these areas such as the price and recommendations, adding price bands, adding general specification notes, etc. When you have a good number of materials, recipes, or formulas as they're called, or C prods added, the next step will be to practice adding quotations. This can be done in the usual way in the videos, but getting the quotation under your belt will give you a good idea of the type of notifications that the system sends to certain people in your organization, certain customers, how they receive their information, etc. Again, use dummy details for now. Send yourself a quotation if it helps. It should be noted at this stage that Receta is largely modularized. Therefore, what you can do is use Receta purely for storing customer details. You could use Receta purely for storing supply details, purely for storing purchase orders. You don't have to use all of the features at once to get you started. If you have your customers, some materials, some finished products, and some quotations in, you could effectively get your entire sales staff moved over to Receta before you even look at any of your production staff, dispatching staff, or invoicing staff having anything to do with it. Obviously, when you've got to this stage, the next step we would recommend would be to start looking at some of the other features such as the sales orders, the inquiries, dispatching and invoices, etc. You can also look at some of the logs in terms of the production logs, how they might operate, some of the stock reports, etc. as well. The final 2 things that we'd recommend you then do is start looking into how the production schedule works, how the stock management and machine tasks work, and then also adding purchase orders. Do not jump straight into trying and start adding jobs to your system. It's not the right way to go. Hopefully this gives you a brief overview of our recommended getting started guide. We are available anytime via email or telephone to offer you support and guide you through your first few weeks using Receta. Good luck.